Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to Petty Time with the one, the only, Solon's number one and favorite TT Knocker, the OG panty dropper. And if she's 6'2" or better, I'm gonna climb her and chop that tree knocker. Petty Murphy, again reporting to you live from the back of the classroom here at Akatanewsnetwork, where I'm as petty as they get. And with that, I'm going to just keep it extremely short and get you over to our satellite studio for some of that petty shit.
At this point, I'm starting to believe Black Americans were not taken from Africa. No, because if Australia belongs to Aboriginals who are black people, how far is Australia from America? At least with America we can say it's close to the continent of Africa. How far is Australia from Africa? If black people, the Aboriginals, are the originals of Australia, I am convinced Black Americans were not brought from Africa. Now, because clearly, if we have black people in Australia that are indigenous to the country, white people found them there. Maybe white people wrote history differently. They twisted it and told Black Americans, we got you from Africa. Meanwhile, Black Americans were there in their country. Where on planet Earth did white people come from?
History.
Christopher Columbus did not discover America. Exactly. I mean, never mind the question of like how you can discover a place where the inhabitants are watching you arrive from the shore. Yeah, they weren't wearing pants. Is that what somebody said? I like that.
Blacks as we know them are as old as time, and their existence in the civilized world could be traced down to the very early centuries, even before the coming of Christ. Going forward, the conventional history reports that Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492. And the same history also says that the first black people to arrive America were enslaved Africans brought by Portuguese and Spanish traders in the early 16th century through the transatlantic slave trade. Well, none of these claims are true. We've been fooled all these while, as always has been the case. Interestingly, recent research has proven that some black people had been in America for more than 1,000 years before Columbus ever stepped foot into the American continent. In fact, there is strong evidence pointing to the fact.
What is the main idea in your book, They Came Before Columbus?
The main idea in my book is to show that early America before the coming of Columbus, was a far more complex society than people imagine.
I want to know something that nobody's ready for in 2025 except for those who already seem to fucking know it. Black people are the aboriginals of every continent. Dark-skinned people are the aboriginals of every continent. Native Americans migrated over the ice bridge from Siberia, that would be Asia, and became what we now know as Native Americans. Yes, they lived off the land. Yes, they knew how to give back to it, so therefore they should be considered indigenous. But the people who were on that land before them and the ice bridge even formed were black people. Black people.
Black people are perfect. They didn't say that Asians are the problem. What they said is simple but powerful. If you are tired of being made to feel small, if you are tired of your culture being mocked, if you are tired of being pressured to fit into the whiteness, then look at how Black Americans have fought and still fighting until today. And I think that is a very important starting point. Not just for Asians, not for black people, but for all of us who come from communities that have been silenced, erased, and divided. So as we go into the rest of the video, I want us to listen, to break it down, and understand what's really being said here. I'm not here to take sides or attack anyone. I want us to listen, to break it down, and understand what's really being said here and why it matters.
All right, I'll bite. Black and Asian solidarity isn't just something that I want. It's something that has lasted for generations. Now, I'm not going to deny that there have been instances of tension between the Black and Asian community. There have been individuals in each of our communities that have caused harm onto one another. At the same time, and most importantly, by and large, both communities want to work together and build towards a better future. And let's take a look at history. The abolishment of the Chinese Exclusion Act was largely due to black civil rights leaders advocating for it, which led to the passing of the Hart-Celler Act in 1965. And there have been leaders such as Yuri Kochiyama and Grace Lee Boggs who have stood side by side with the black community fighting for the liberation of black people. And for years, the Japanese American leaders have used reparations given to Japanese Americans after Japanese internment as justification for why the black community should also receive reparations. So yeah, like any community and people, we have differences, but there's a hell of a lot more love.
No one's disregarding the natives, they just came from Siberia, they are Asian. I learned this in elementary school before it became an agenda, before they were able to cover it up. Black Americans were reclassified from Native Americans to African Americans. Not all of them come from Africa. They are finding this with their DNA tests, they are finding this with their literal elders telling them. Even Siberians know where y'all came from. Native Americans are just like Koreans and Japanese people. They come from the people of the Yellow River. That's where all Asiatics come from. Then they did something called migrated, and after they migrated, they ended up enhancing on gene pools that are only slightly different to mainland Asiatic. And maybe they all lead to anti-Semitism because the people lying to us hide actively behind Judaism. If Jews face such harsh discrimination in this society, can somebody point me to a single one that is dealing actively with systemic oppression? A single one of them and that has been deported? They want to be seen as people of color so bad, yet they live in rich neighborhoods. I canvassed doors in Georgia. I went to all these neighborhoods knocking on them. Never met a dark Jewish person. Never met a poor one. The Japanese look a spitting image of us, literally stole Hanzi, the Chinese characters, and are calling it kanji. And because the white man told them they spawned in looking like that, they believe it. To trace genetic ancestry, all you need is eyes. I know the Chinese came from melanin because every time I go to a predominantly black, what we consider black, space, I am treated like family. Unless, of course, they're racist and don't like Asians. That's a different story. There's all types of people out there. There's Asians that don't like black people. There's black people that don't like Asians. We gotta accept it. We gotta just know when to move on. But the truth of the matter is we share a history, and that's why they lie about both of our histories in the same exact way. The playbook keeps becoming too obvious. The illusions are starting to die. That's why so many Americans are miserable. And so many foreigners who just drank the American Kool-Aid are miserable. Their illusionary magic that they do at the Vatican is at its weakest point. We have the opportunity now to break it entirely. We just have to prove that we're going to do better than we did last time. And the second we truly break their illusions, they're going to try and break the world. Wars always coincide with awakenings. And even the white girl said it. Look, they want you to be afraid of celebrities. Celebrities have been talking to us for years because they are sitting at the table with these people and they know their playbook. They have been actively exposing them. We just don't listen to them, like Andre 3000 said. Y'all just want to dance. But yeah, even the white girl said it. We'll have to stop the world just to stop pretending. And that's what they're going to try and do. So all the people who are afraid right now are going to cling to their illusions. Cling. I see my family doing it now, my adoptive family. I see it. Spent years decolonizing their minds. They could almost see the light. And all of a sudden, this war thing starts happening and they're zip back.
I feel really blessed to be able to sit here with you today and just take accountability. I was dealing with some various issues, dealing with bipolar also. So it would take the ideas I had and having taken them to an extreme where I would forget about the protection of the people around me and myself. So I wanted to come and take accountability. Sometimes people aren't that knowledgeable about the bipolar and the cause or what causes it and the way you act when you have this disease.
That drove me to a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed by I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor.
And unfortunately,
Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, ABC News.
So I got this theory that we as black people are under this like crazy hypnosis, and we've been under hypnosis since 1970. This hypnosis is from programming, through TV, through movies, through music, things of that nature, right? Notice how in the 1960s, right, we were pro-black, we were fighting against any social injustices, we were fighting against systemic oppression, we were fighting for our rights. We took pride in families. We were together. We had esteem of ourselves. We knew who we were at this time. It was a civil rights movement, right? We had no black shows, no black movies to where it was like a full black cast or anything like that, except for like a Raisin in the Sun, which was depressing. The only other shows that we had in the 60s, which weren't fully black cast, was a show named Julia about a single black mom who was widowed. Her husband was gunned down in Vietnam, and she was raising a black boy into being a man. She was a nurse working for a company, working for a place. Then the next one was a show called The Bill Cosby Show, but not the one with Claire Huxtable and Rudy or nothing.
Welcome back to the studios, ladies and gentlemen. It is the one, the only Petty Murphy. I must say, over the last few episodes of Petty Time with Petty Murphy, all of the propaganda that I've seen that's been blown out of the water has just left my mind completely blown. And that's why now I say, fuck the contract. I might as well enjoy my herb while I can. And I highly suggest you do too, because boy, times are a-changing. They are a-changing. And just like Donald Trump and the Supreme Court said, ladies and gentlemen, pardon me, if Black America are the only group that cannot be deported, if they get rid of birthright citizenship, but the people on the reservations can, well, that should tell you exactly who the fuck we are. Ha ha! And on that note, I bid you adieu. The one, the only OG, penny dropper, the one that is your TT knocker, and if she's 6'2" or better, I'll climb that tree and chop her. Petty Murphy reporting to you live from the back of the classroom here at Akatanewsnetwork.